Yep. Well, it's already live, so don't do it yet. Oh God. Yeah. Let's not get banned off Twitch, okay? I did add Sheepshank Artichoke to the band names list, though. I didn't know it was a thing. It's right underneath the Black Death haircut, though. That was from Green Knight, I think. We're talking. Yeah, yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, we're talking about. Yeah. Nice. Ooh, very nice. Watching your figure. Gotta stay lean. Yeah, I love. Yeah, nothing's funnier than binging and purging. All right, let's see how this is. This is Tres Agaves and pomegranate soda. Not even two. It's a tequila. Yeah. Why does my beard look so dark right now? It's weird. Yeah, yeah. It's something I'm trying out. Yeah, yeah. That's actually what this is. I actually, you don't have to. This is actually me walking out of the coal mine, and I wiped my face, and I forgot to wash my hands. Yeah. All right. Let me. Good. I could do that. I'm just sending out all the fucking shit. There we go. um. Pew, pew, pew. And a long time. Yeah. Uh, Also, Brent and Jeremy, did you do introductions? Oh shit! Brent, Brent, this is Jeremy. Jeremy, this is Brent. Mm, okay. No, I figured you guys would take the mantle while I went and poured my drink, but that's all right. I think Brent and Jeremy made eye contact through the Zoom call, and they both decided that they were just going to stretch this out for us. Mm. Salsa clam. You better watch out, dude. It's in the lyrics, dude. It's in the lyrics. All right, so Dad, you wanted to do this movie. You recommended this movie last week. Robots are great. Hey, don't talk shit about her. I know where this is going. Yeah, don't you dare. Mm, a little bit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm. Wow. Just keep drinking that Michelob, dude. To your third one, or? Mm. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Doug. I don't remember Doug from Terminator. Mm. His Skynet is a one person, one man. Hmm. It's a good one. I got the reference. I'll say it's Wizard of Oz and Terminator. They could be dicks. They could be dicks. I I will say I'm I was with you the entire time, Ben. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Very indie. Mm. Mm. Ooh, yeah, pulling the strings. So anyways, so Ex Machina. Yeah. So oh damn. Okay, high praise. High praise. 2014. Hmm. Which is pretty crazy. I mean, I couldn't stop looking at the special effects the entire time I was watching this movie because it looks fucking incredible. So it's mm. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
with like a flat screen hanging on it. It's like, I could fucking do that. Like, and I think that kind of triggers a sense of like, this is a realistic set, because it's like anybody could put this fucking thing together, and like a millionaire like this who's just, or a trillionaire, whatever the fuck, would probably like do something like this, because he's not really trying to impress anybody. He's just like, most of the stuff that's up on the walls in research labs, like they need to be there for specific reasons.
It's cool too to see these two actors in something that's well written and well directed, because they're really they're really amazing actors, right? So when you see, especially General Hux, which is just not a great character, and he obviously was, he was told to overact it, and so he did. That's why he's a good actor, right? Because when you see him something like this, you're like, oh damn. He actually played Dom Nahal Gleason actually played an android in a Black Mirror episode.
Oh yeah,
remember that? That's a really good one with Haley Joel Osment. What's her name?
Hayden Panettiere.
No.
More Mikla.
Hot English girl from
Emma Watson.
Captain America. Captain America.
Is it Peggy Sue Carter?
Well, that's the character, right?
The character.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That girl.
Haley.
We're getting closer.
Oswell.
Let's dwell on this for another 10 minutes at least.
Haley behind the curtain.
Now, I do think it's worth mentioning how good and successful Alex Garland is as a writer. And then this is his first directing. So he wrote The Beach, the novel, back in 1996. He wrote 28 Days Later, Sunshine,
I forgot about that.
Dread, which was a fantastic version.
Oh.
And then this was his first directorial debut.
He also wrote Andrew.
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah.
You lagged out.
He directed this.
Yes. This was his first writing and directing.
Oh, he wrote Dread, so the one with McCoy.
Keith Urban. Yep.
Not Carl Urban.
Man, I'm 100% off tonight.
Yeah.
With my rememberings.
So he started off working with Danny Boyle for all his writing, and then moved on to do his own thing, which I think he pulled in probably some Danny Boyle influence into this.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
weird world building that he does, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
which they shot in this in Iceland, I guess.
Oh, that's why.
And Norway, I want to say something like that.
Yeah,
which because I was watching, like, where the hell they filmed this goddamn thing? Because it definitely has this otherworldly, other-countryly thing going on.
Yeah. Well, they imply that he kind of just bought like sovereign land. Like he's not really under.
Apparently, they're taking 2 hours just to get to to get to the house. Right, the estate's unbelievably massive.
He's bought glaciers, apparently.
Glaciers. Yeah.
That's
a lot of space.
I do like how fast of a world building it does within like a 30-second segment or a 2-minute segment, where it shows Donald Gleason's character, Caleb, at his desk, shooting to him in an airplane, shooting to him hiking through a forest. It's you already know so much about the movie in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need it any more than like when he wins the contest at the beginning, and there's no dialogue, right? You don't need any more than that shot that slowly zooms out and people congratulate him and stuff. You know everything you need to know with that, and that's genius storytelling and filmmakery.
Yeah, and I was fully prepared for it to take way too long to get around to the two of them meeting. Like, I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I thought, okay, I feel like there's some familiar beats. We're going to take a long time to establish this guy. And they didn't. And that was a nice, pleasant surprise. They kind of jumped right into it.
I also really like, so obviously he there's only 3 people moving. One of them got to be the bad guy, right? And so there's like tension between Hux and Poe. But
Hux and Poe.
Not at the beginning, actually. Like they're we're just trying to feel each other. But like there's immediate distrust, which I think a lot of writers attempt to do because they want to build that distrust later on. I feel like
Ben, I'm gonna cut you off really quickly. You're lagging like really bad. Do you want to start leaving the call and joining back?
Sure.
Okay. See if that helps. Really quick, Jared.
He was making a lot more sense.
It's easier to understand.
Now put a password.
We're just gonna end the podcast right now. Jeremy, this is your first time watching this movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd heard a lot of good things about it, and I honestly I'd always just put it off.
Okay.
This is one of those movies that
over there now.
This is the style of movie that I like that fits. Like, there's no one genre. It's like you're stuck in a situation and you have a small cast and it's all dialogue, right? Like the first one that I think that I saw that fit that was The Cube, if anyone has seen that.
I've seen Cube.
Sci-fi kind of thriller, horror almost. It's really just like you're stuck in a situation and let's see what happens.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny too, Al, when I was telling people I was watching this for the podcast, and they kept telling me like, "Oh yeah, you better strap in. That's that's a lot of dialogue. It's one of those slow and ones you really have to think about." And so it's true in the sense that it does make you think a lot, but I don't feel like it dragged on at all, or I wasn't looking at the clock thinking, oh my God, this is just too many, scenes that are dragging out. Like, I think we've talked about this before with the whole art house thing, where sometimes when it is a movie like this, where it is basically all set in the same place and it is so dialogue heavy, stuff gets dragged out or there's too many long shots. And that, I didn't actually experience any of that. I thought this movie was...
Are there any shots that are like that art house style? Like, there's a specific style of art house movies where they will just fucking hang on a shot where nothing is actually happening for a really long time.
If there was,
I don't remember that.
Pick up on it.
Honestly, everything.
Something, because I usually really hate that.
It feels like every scene had a purpose rather than just having you hang there, like you're saying. Like even when they were hiking on the mountain, it was like, oh no, the hiking had a specific purpose to show like the disconnect between these two characters experiencing the same thing.
And I think that it might be just a sign of good editing, but I don't think there are the shots where they just hang and then zoom, except for maybe the first one when you're finding out that Caleb has won this contest. That's probably like the longest shot in the entire movie. So otherwise, it's pretty. It's more lit beautifully than it is shot beautifully, if that makes any sense. Like,
it doesn't have any exotic camera work.
Yeah,
it just holds the shot and let the actors do their thing.
Yeah,
which is a smart way to shoot it.
The 180-degree rule, like to the T. It's just cutting back and forth between these two characters talking. They shot everything super fucking wide. I'll say that. Like, lots of. They must have shot it on like a 17 or 20 mil. Like it was an
anamorphic. Wide. It looked like it's probably a 20 or 19 or something, which is pretty standard. That's Spielberg's favorite anamorphic. So it's all he shoots
with.
Also,
Daryl's favorite.
It is my favorite.
Yeah.
I was curious about the editor as we were talking about that, and the editor did a lot of the Harry Potter movies.
Really?
And he did About Time, which also has Domhnall Gleeson in it. It's that romantic time traveler. I've seen it so many times too. So good.
So good.
About Time.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I
have to watch that next.
Because I wouldn't pick up
time
from
travel playlist.
Yeah, like I wouldn't pick up from the Harry Potter style or About Time or anything.
No, not at all.
The editing in this movie carried from any of those.
Well, I think that's probably why they went with somebody like this, was because it's like safe editing. I mean, if anything else, it's like he's going to follow all the rules correctly, and then the rest of the movie can happen around like just a solid base of editing, as opposed to like any sort of experimental editing, which I don't know if this movie needed anything was like, a perfectly placed Dutch angle or anything like that.
It just didn't. It just didn't.
It was refreshing that it didn't have that stuff.
There was enough of a story, right? And the characters are compelling enough that you didn't need crazy camera angles. You didn't need any action. Anything, because that's what I was noticing. And I sat here and watched with my youngest daughter. So I always know when she thinks something is good because she leans forward the whole time. And this movie, being a slow burn, right? She was leaning forward the whole movie because they are slowly. This movie's brilliant too. It's slowly ratcheting up the tension.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Little by little, giving you more clues, bring you in the power outages. When the first one happens, and it being read is so smart, right? Because you're already like, what the hell's going on? And then that's when she drops her first bomb about the other guy, Nathan.
Yeah. Don't trust Nathan.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh shit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, boom, bitch.
I saw your eyes, Brent. I saw your eyes like switch down, and I was like, "Oh, I know." I'll catch him in his own game.
So this movie's about this guy works for this company. It's a giant search engine called Blue Book, and he gets chosen. He wins rather a contest to go to this guy's palatial estate for some reason. I don't think he knows why he's going. Right?
It's like a Willy Wonka thing. Yeah, it's like
he's gonna go hang a week with the billionaire
boss
that created Blue Book.
Yeah.
Which is this massive search engine, right? That's all he knows. And then when he gets there, Nathan tells him, who's the billionaire, that he's there to do a Turing test on this AI that he's created.
Right.
And so then that's the ensuing days is him interacting with this AI called Ava, which is more than AI. She's an android at this point too, right? So a very realistic one, even though she has the see-through, kooky, lighted body and stuff like that.
And the gear noises every time she moves.
I know. I love that too. And it was almost a
Yeah.
chimey, not really a chime, but it's almost kind of like almost a wind chime motor noise too when she turns her head. It's really cool.
It's like musical.
Yeah. It really they keep doing that to remind you that she is not human, even though she sure looks and feels like her. Which I think it was smart too to not like the as we find out later. I think we all assumed that the Kamiko, I think her name is also an android. We found out later that she's
pretty early on,
but she's got full skin and everything, you know. Where this one, it's just a face really and a head, not even the full head, just the face and her hands and feet is the only thing that's got skin on it. That's my 19th air quote for the night. So that was interesting. I think that was to make, and I think he explains it later. Like I wanted this, I wanted you to know that she was an android to make this Turing test truly real. Because I think he says, like, she was the voice, you would have bought it right away. Like her, Ben.
Like with her, Scarlett Johansson really doesn't sound like a robot. It's crazy.
Almost instantly, when she's born.
But yeah, I mean, I think that whole thing is really interesting too, because he clarifies that this is not actually a Turing test, and Nathan is like, yeah, well, we're way past that. Like, I'm trying to see, like, if you think that this is a person, you know, like, how does she make you feel? Do you feel human around her? You know,
I like when the Caleb character tells him about the chess computer. You know, is it really playing chess? You know what I mean, or is it just going off based on the moves and stuff, pre-programmed? And that's what his question about her was. And then Nathan gets a little pissed off. You know what I mean? He even tells him I think he's irritating him. And he's like, I want to know what you feel, how you feel, you know, which I think is a more important test, because it's really about that. How do you feel about this synthetic human? The beer's kicking in, I guess, because I'm starting to use my words. And do you feel empathy towards her? Do you feel sympathy for her? Do you connect with her on an emotional level? Because that's what being human is all about.
And he says that she's amazing, right? That's the third.
Yeah. What do you think of her? She's amazing. Yeah, she's fucking amazing. Yeah.
And as we find out later, he's not there because of his technical know-how anyway.
He's there because he's a schlubby single bachelor that would fall in love with a fucking robot like an idiot.
He shows up thinking,
"Shut up, Ben.
I must lend my technical expertise to this guy." And he's like, "You don't even know. I don't give a shit. And you're not even that good."
He just won the Google search lottery. That's what happened.
It was,
I would be the guy that got picked, right? And I'd show up, and as soon as he told me, he's like, I got to leave now because I'm already in love with the robot and I haven't even met her yet. I just got to go. I got to go. Like in her.
We didn't even make the robot a girl. No, it's too late, man. I'm already
in love with him. Him, her, whatever it is.
Swiped right.
It's like, as soon as I heard Scarlett Johansson's voice in her, I was like, man, I love her.
Yeah.
You want to get married? Operating system.
God. Yeah, right away. It's like,
don't take much, man. Don't take much from me.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's actually kind of a genius way to take the story too, that like the whole thing was geared towards like him supposed to be falling in love with the girl, because it's a little bit of turning this whole thing onto its head. Most of the time it's like, oh, you can't fall in love with a robot, like that's like taboo, cha or whatever. And this one, it starts that way, where it's like, come on, man, don't fall in love with the robot, is really just coming from Caleb. Nathan's like, you could fuck the robot.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing is that I don't feel like the conflict in Caleb was necessarily, can I fall in love with a robot? I feel like he was just so attached to the job that he was assigned of analyzing the robot.
Yeah.
Right.
He was trying to remain impartial.
Yeah. And so he
Well,
was
definitely
struggling
took it
with that.
seriously.
I didn't feel like as a character he struggled with, can I love this thing?
Yeah.
Or this person.
That's a good point. I think he picks up pretty quickly, like, oh man, I know I could,
Yeah.
but that's not the point.
Yeah.
Like he
Well,
picks
that's
up on that right away.
Check
But
this
it's
out.
funny how seriously he takes his job, thinking that he's there to lend some kind of technical expertise, and he's taking the test really seriously, and it's kind of getting played the whole time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, that is not what you're here for.
Yeah.
But he is, I don't know, up until that point they kind of had me sold on it, because he seems to have the, I mean, shit, I don't know the jargon, but he seems to have the, you know, he seems to be knowing what he's talking about when
Well,
he's talking
I feel
about
like
the
he liked
algorithms
knowing that.
yeah, like he's really
yeah.
getting into it
Yeah.
when he's talking to Nathan, you know, and Nathan's like, yeah, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Nathan's like, I couldn't care less
I don't
about
care.
any feedback.
Yeah.
He's so cavalier about it the entire time. And like, there's even one point where Nathan's like, you just trying to like, or where Caleb is like, you just trying to trick me? Like, you just trying to make, like, is this robot just flirting with me? Like,
Yeah.
to fuck with me? And Nathan's like, that's just your insecurity talking, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because I feel that this was Nathan's plan all along, right? Obviously, that's why Caleb was
right,
chosen.
that's what he says at the end.
Was like, yeah, he wants him as like, and that's why he even tells him, like, I don't care what you think, I want to know what you feel, right? And because he's like, this is not the robot passing the Turing test, as if he needs to know that this again that he cares about this robot and wants her to the whole plan was for her to help her escape.
Right.
in my-
He was
I think.
supposed to. No, yeah,
Now,
you're right.
It
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to happen. So spoiler alert. No, I'm assuming
Right.
anyone who's watching the movie, the 1.5 persons that are watching
It's been
the
out for 7
But,
years.
really? Oh, hi 7. But this was the point the whole time. So and at the end, I'll jump in really quick. When he reprogrammed everything, this was the plan. Nathan had him to plan to do this the whole time. The difference was he did it the night before, right?
Right.
And that threw Nathan off.
Yeah.
And now we have a problem.
Mhm.
But he planned for him to fall in love with her, or at least sympathize with her, and help her try to escape. That
Well, the
was
main
his
thing
Turing test.
was specifically whether or not she would think to do that. That is a very important point
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that Nathan makes, which is that his experiment would be successful because he's been abusing this robot on purpose
Yes.
to like create
Yeah.
a sense of desire to escape, specifically to see if it would become sociopathic enough to try to trick somebody into falling in love with it so that
Yeah.
it could escape, which would be a
Yeah.
very human reaction to trauma.
It really was less about Caleb than the robot itself. It wasn't Caleb testing the robot. It was seeing if the
Yeah.
robot would actually do the things.
Mhm.
And Caleb was just
Required to
perfectly
escape.
susceptible to
Yeah.
being emotionally manipulated by a hot girl. So it's just like,
Aren't we all?
Basically,
Right. Well, he
90%
even
of
says
the
he's
guys-
like, that's why I picked you, because you seem like a nice guy. It's like you
Right,
seem
yeah.
like a good dude, you know, like
Yeah.
you would want to help the robot.
It would take someone with morals to actually like engage with the robot and feel protective of the robot.
Right,
Yeah.
and actually go out of his way
Yeah.
to purposely try and get this guy drunk and set up this elaborate escape plan where he reprograms the locks like someone who has goodwill, you know.
Mhm.
So like that's
Right.
all he needed from Caleb.
yeah, and it's an interesting moral question because like Nathan has been abusing this creature or this like sentient being, basically. Like we've proved at this point that it's sentient because it passes that test. But at the same time, like his whole plan was to like erase it and then like start from scratch, which is like an interesting question in terms of morality, because it's like it seems fucked up that he was screwing with this thing in such like an intense way, but at the same time, like his whole entire plan was to like wipe its memory anyways, and then like
I don't think that was his
I
plan.
don't think so.
No,
I think
I'm
that's a-
actually up until this point, I'm wondering if that was ever really his intention.
That
or
was
if
to
that's just what he
manipulate
told him.
Caleb to raise
you think
the
that was to
stakes.
manipulate Caleb?
Absolutely.
I feel like he absolutely needed to. I mean, Ava was never going to be usable after that. Like
Yeah.
he at the very least he needed to reset.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, at the end of the day, Nathan was probably going to do what he said, but he told Caleb that so
Right.
it would raise the stakes for Caleb and say, yeah, I do need to get this robot girl out here.
Because
Yeah,
he
I
didn't
think-
keep the
yeah,
old
you're
ones.
probably right.
The old ones are still there. He has them hanging out in his closet, which I thought was cool, just as its own thing, because it's
And creepy and weird.
Well, it's a total skeletons in your closet thing. It's
Yeah.
literally
Skeletons in
his
your closet.
Yeah. and
I did have a question about that specifically. The video replay of him dealing basically with mannequins or the bodies of the previous robots, and like thinking it looks creepy because they're human form, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We mess with robots every day. I pick up my Roomba and get it fixed from being stuck and put it back in the charger, and that's not.
Dude, are you in
creepy.
love with your Roomba?
Oh,
Just
easily.
tell us now.
Easily.
Oh my
love
god!
the
You
Roomba.
give a Roomba.
My Roomba
Scarlett
is
Johansson's
amazing.
Voice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ex
good.
Ex
My
Roomba.
Roomba picks up all of my dog's hair who's down here. I'm
You
trying to
like
shout.
that? You like that Roomba? Oh yeah. You like that Roomba?
Mia likes the Roomba.
Oh.
Aw,
Like, you're a good dog.
But it's a thing. Like, does something having human characteristics, even though it may not be sentient, create a complex issue with rights of a creation or moral ambiguity with how you use that object?
Did you
Right.
really
I think
quickly?
absolutely right. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
You guys seen the Boston Dynamics videos, right?
Oh, there was a new
Where-
one. Yeah.
There's
So
a new
I
one
mean,
that
like
just
even
came
the
out.
original ones, it was this four-legged creature, and remember they're kicking it and stuff just to show that it can keep its balance. Everybody felt bad for those robots.
I
Remember the
felt
one
bad
where
for
he's
the
picking
robot,
up the
dude.
box and they keep knocking, and the thing doesn't even have a head,
Yeah.
right?
right.
But it's anthropomorphic enough. But they knocks the box out of its hand. I felt so bad for this stupid robot getting the box knocked out of its hand, and it doesn't know
Yep.
what's going on. It's just okay. I'll just go pick it up again, and they're pushing it with the hockey stick and shit.
Mhm.
So even on that level, this thing isn't even have consciousness. You know what I mean? It's just
Right.
reacting to its surroundings. We even still felt bad for that thing. Can you imagine an Ava? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh God, yeah.
Well, it really hit me when she talks about choice.
Yeah.
She goes, "Why is it your choice or his choice what I do?" And you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit,
Mhm.
I didn't think about that."
Yeah. Well, and I think that's pretty much one of the core tenets of like considerations about the morality behind AI, right? Is how close to human representation does it need to be before we need to start treating it like human just in case? You
Yeah.
know? And I think that like,
Just in case it wants to kill us,
well, not just in case it
decides
wants to
to
kill
fed
us.
up with our shit.
they'll lock us
You
in a
guys-
fucking room and
Have you guys had? Sorry, are you done, Ben? I want to tell a story.
Go ahead.
This happened to me. Okay, so this actually happened to me, and I don't know. And it was funny because I heard this story get told on a podcast, and I was like, "That's ridiculous." And then it happened to me where a telemarketer called, and I picked up because there's a 512 number, and so I live in Austin. Our area code is 512.
Oh, don't tell us.
I just outed
don't tell
myself.
One
us.
step
Jesus
closer
Christ.
to knowing your phone
Oh.
number.
Oh, I gotta move.
That's not my area code though.
Just doxing.
He's just doxing Brent specifically.
just Brent. Wait,
We
how
all
come
have our
it's
full
back to
names
Danon?
displayed right now.
Yeah.
It's true.
But so I picked up the call, and then like the woman's going through it, and I was just like, and I was like, okay, this is a telemarketer. I was like, whatever, fuck it. And I was just like started cutting her off and stuff like that. And then I was like, hold on. Is this a recording? And she's like, oh, do I sound that bad today? And I was like, this is a human? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, keep going, I guess, with whatever you're saying, lady. But the way that she went back into it was so nonchalant. Like either one, she was a human being and it happened all the time, or two, it was a recording and I didn't know because that was the response that I was supposed to listen for to get you to stay on the line, right? And to this day, I don't know if I was talking to a robot or a human being because
That's pretty elaborate.
she never mentioned it again during the call. And so this story kind of happened on a podcast where he actually like had this back and forth with it. And so I don't know. And so he was like, wait, so are you recording? And she just would never answer that question, but she would never say yes or never say no. She would never just flat out deny it. And so I think I was talking to a robot and I was getting
So I gotta correct you. It's not it. It's they them.
Oh,
You gotta be careful.
Yeah, that's right. Because AIs are already sentient, so you don't want to
That's true.
refer to them as an inanimate object.
I just don't want to get on the bad side of AI now because they're going to have all
by
this
misgendering it.
Too late.
Well, this is the whole. This is the whole thing. There's actually a philosophical problem, which is that if AI ever get created, then theoretically there will be an AI that is created that will look back through all content that has been generated, all recordings and everything, and determine whether or not people are pro or anti AI. Like,
I am
now,
pro AI. I'm saying it right now.
yeah. So this is the whole thing. Like, it is never worth it to be anti AI, because at some point in the future, if AI became a reality, there is likelihood that one of them will hold a grudge against your previous statements, which is like a death sentence for you in this AI controlled future. So like, always be pro AI and don't ever talk about like AI not being fully deserving of love and everything.
Ultron did nothing wrong. Ultron did nothing wrong.
I'm saying right now, AIs can kiss my ass.
All right.
Oh man. Oh no.
So Daryl is anti-Ultron.
Daryl, I feel like you're saying that because you don't think you're going to be around when AI.
Suck it, AIs, dude. I'm already half dead, right?
But here's the thing, Daryl. AI may get to the point where they can bring back your consciousness and torture you for your thoughts.
See, that's a great question.
Ben, stop giving them ideas.
All right.
Torturing for my thoughts is my fetish.
It's going to bring back your consciousness and torture you for thinking badly about AI.
Shut up, Ben. I haven't thought of that yet.
Yeah, torturingformythoughts.com is a fetish website. So it's funny that you say all that because that's what Black Mirror asks or talks about a lot, right?
This is like a classic philosophical problem. So yeah.
How many episodes of Black Mirror, which is why I like that show so much, where someone's consciousness is digitized, if you will, and the person's dead.
Yeah.
But so is that really your consciousness? You know, like one of my favorite episodes is, I can't remember where they'll go to Saint Angeline or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That one is so good. It's one of my favorite ones.
Your consciousness and send it off to the fake.
Yeah. It's great, but is that really you though? You know what I mean? And that's what those.
This is also the Prestige problem, right? The Prestige. You guys have all seen the Prestige.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spoiler for me. Of course, I've seen it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the Prestige problem is that he's invented a machine that clones himself, and he doesn't actually know whether or not he is the one being disposed of, or he is the one appearing at the other side, but always one of them is disposed of, so it like never comes up.
Now that was actually the crux of it, where the point that they don't know who's real made it safer, because they don't want to have to make a choice. So whichever one resulted, like.
But again, but I think this is very similar to like if your consciousness is digitized, like is it still you? It's like if I think really the bigger question is, if your consciousness exists as an exact copy somewhere else, is that you or is it not?
So as an even further example, that's the exact story of Altered Carbon, right? With Joel Kinnaman, first season. They have a law in their universe that you can't have one consciousness exist at the same time as another. People break that law because what's real? They're copying you to another body, so they have to kill the old body.
It's the exact same thing as they even talk about this in Invincible, the cartoon.
I was just going to bring up the blue guys.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and so it's an age-old tale, but it's still very relevant.
Tale as old as time.
I just wanted to say, Brennan in the chat is saying, are the texts I get about hot single moms in my area that want to meet up robots?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No.
They're hot single robots.
Moms are not robots.
It's all bad.
I actually have data on this because I have. So this is a thing that I like to.
Shaking his head.
This is a thing that I like to do in my free time. Is anytime I got engaged with by an obvious like solicitor for like hotsingles.com or eCamps or whatever. Ben. Oh shit! It's just Dana.
Dana's a pro catfisher.
No, so most often it was on dating apps, and I'm not on dating apps anymore. But when I was, I would literally like find the accounts that were obviously bot accounts, and like there was different telltale signs. For a while, it was just if they only had a Snapchat handle in that thing, and so I remember I would look at the Snapchat and 9 times out of 10, the Snapchat would just be like a bunch of lewd photos, and it's like, join this website and pay this money and you can get more. And I was like, all right, that's the end of the road. Like I found like they're like, this is as far as the rabbit hole goes. But then one time I got into a conversation with somebody on Snapchat and I was like, oh my God, you're a real person. I'm so sorry. And they like started asking me all these questions. And I realized that it was still a scam, but it was like somebody that was just trying to talk me into like paying them like Venmo money for like a chance to meet up, which was probably never going to happen. And so that was that scam. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting scam. I'd never seen that one before. And then a little while later, I just like, every time I see a Snapchat account or like something I think is a bot, I'm like, I want to see. I talked to another person, and the candid conversation that I thought I had turned out to have been 100% scripted, because every single reply in this second conversation I had was word for word verbatim the exact same response. So I thought that I was having a unique conversation with a human being, but it turned out that it was actually scripted, if not just totally a bot the entire time. And that was like a mind-blowing moment for me to be like, oh my God, like not only is it a scam that somebody's running, it's a scam that's like, it's got like, it has to have wheels behind it, because somebody either wrote a bot that did this, or they're like hired people in some other country to like respond to Snapchat messages or something. And that was what I was going to say a little bit earlier about the robocall you had, Danon, which was that like, when it comes to listening to human voice, we're maybe not quite there, but when it comes to like text interactions, I think that we've already completely blown the lid off of being able to capture people in falling for the Turing test.
Oh, for sure.
So
I would agree with that. Yeah.
What's interesting with what you just said is part of their conversation in the script about how the conversations are stochastic, right? They're randomized, non-deterministic, where for you as a text-based interaction, that could fool you when it's not randomized and it is deterministic. It's pre-planned. Your response leads to an exact same response if someone else said the same thing. But I think in a face-to-face conversation, it's a lot more complex, right?
Oh yeah,
no, actually.
Yeah. Let's get back to these hot single moms. So they're not real?
Hold on, Brennan is saying he has a chance, and I'm saying yes.
Yeah,
and I say yes.
Hey, Brennan, they're real. I'm telling you.
I mean, something behind it is real.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you will probably get something for money if you follow the stream. Like,
yeah, there's this robot that you talk to.
And
hot single mom robot,
and it won't actually tell you whether or not it's really a robot if you ask.
Yeah, they never. Are you a robot? So what time? What time is it? You know, you ask them the date. They don't know the date.
It'll admit to that, but it won't tell you if it's a mom or not. And so
yeah,
it's like, I'm only here for MILFs. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. But, oh man, it's just another 20-year-old.
This is why you hit the bot accounts with the what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow, and they never respond. Because they're not.
No, you know what? Actually, so with this particular one, the thing that would happen was if I went off script, they would respond indignantly with what do you mean? Like they would like question things that didn't make sense, and it seemed, and it was to make you feel bad and get you back on script.
They were indignant shaming you.
I mean, it's all just a very manipulative game, which I think is very fascinating. That it's like that this line of study has been done by like skeevy, I want to trick people into sending money because they're horny, like guys. But there's like this whole scholastic approach that they've taken to like take money from horny dudes on the internet. It's really impressive that it exists.
This is also just business and marketing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The whole industry.
Yeah.
Technological advances are either military based or they're for porn.
Sometimes both.
Sometimes both. At a certain point, it is both. Like VR is absolutely like could be used to train military, but then you can also watch VR porn. Robots.
Military.
Where did it start?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like
the military
there is.
porn?
Look at that.
Even in the it's just like
which one is that?
It's the index.
Oh, okay.
This little thing pops off.
Wow.
Sensors.
Wow.
I mean, Nathan built his.
Is that so you can get your pizza from the front door with it still on your head?
Easy.
Nathan built the sex robots like almost immediately. Like the first thing they did was like, I'm gonna build a robot that dances and fucks, and like that was Kimiko, right? Like
I love when they're dancing. That was great.
Oh, it's a fantastic
great scene.
choreography. And I honestly, this was like my 6th time watching it, and I was wondering, in the world, not as them filming it, was that a choreographed routine, or was the robot programmed to like mimic movement so accurately?
I think what it
right?
Here's my theory. I was thinking about this while watching this too, actually. And my theory is that Nathan trained it to do that dance. And so we're watching the robot. We think Nathan is following the robot. But in reality, Nathan programmed the robot to be able to dance like that. And so he was the one with a fucking mocap suit on, like doing the dance the first time. And that's why he knows it so well.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
But that's honestly one of my favorite scenes in almost any movie, because it's just, it really triggers. I mean, what the first like hour and a half is a roller coaster or a push and pull, because you're flipping between Nathan being friendly to being authoritative, and Caleb being engaged to being defensive. And then that was like a prime scene of Caleb feeling incredibly uncomfortable, and then flip a switch, even the audience is having fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it builds that anxiety of the whole world. But that scene is one of my favorites in almost any movie, because it's just the epitome of that character and the world that they're in. It's just
also
like,
amazing writing for the dialogue. Why did you tear up her paper? I'm gonna tear up this
The
dance
dance
floor.
floor. That's why I couldn't remember the
Amazing
line, but it was so fucking great, right?
good.
It's because I just searched Boogin, and it was the funniest fucking thing ever.
It is it's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. It's so like kitsch, and at the same time, it's like that was the perfect fucking thing for him.
Well,
to
there was
say.
so much tension at that point; it needed to break it a
Mhm.
little bit, and that was a brilliant way to break it. And also bring you in more to this Nathan character, who's obviously a very brilliant guy, but he also seems to want to have fun in spite of his cynicism. It's this attempt at joy, as best he can do, and it was just a way to break the tension though for the whole film, and it works really well.
yeah.
Because you need that in movies. They do that in movies, even that are tension filled, where they'll have a little a funny line or something.
But
you need that. If it's just tension the whole time, it's too much. You need something to break every now and then.
Right.
But it's strange how well it worked, because it broke the tension for the character and the audience.
Yeah,
it was both a dynamic in the story itself, as well as the feel for you watching it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to be mad at a guy that just said that in response to my question.
I'm not going to argue after that.
This
for
guy's
sure.
cool. Would probably be my
All
immediate
right.
response.
I would have shook that ass.
I would have danced with
I would
Kimiko.
have right there, man.
Actually, I do have a question about the trope of the billionaire inventor of AI robots, though, because it seems like
Anakin wasn't.
Well, he also didn't invent C-3PO. He just built him.
He did not fucking build C-3PO. Move on. Sorry.
All right.
He had billions of micropolos or whatever those things are in his
Mini
blood.
chlorians.
Come on.
Okay, Doug.
Cropolos.
My favorite Greek philosopher.
And
Micropolis.
they're
Mini
off the
chlorine.
charts.
Just drank a
Yeah.
bunch of bleach.
Necropolis.
Off the charts. Mini chlorians that are off the charts.
Yeah,
off
Doug
the
just
charts.
fucking
Yoda.
throws one thing into the air, and
Silent
everybody
for an hour.
loses their fucking mind.
Also, we
But I
need to
do.
ring the bell.
Wait, who
But,
who carries a midichlorian tester with him at all times? Come on.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon, man.
Drink
You
more
get it,
gin, man.
right?
In his
Drink more
utility
gin.
belt. Give me a fucking
So my
shot
question
break.
was about the trope of the billionaire inventor of
So
AI
mad now.
robots. Is it where did that start, where they're like also playboys? Because this is a thing that I've seen in multiple mediums, most recently in Detroit Become Human, which is a video game about robots with sentience. But the guy who invented them lives in like a modern house, and he has a bunch of hot robots that he like clearly bangs. Like, is this just a thing like across all mediums? Did it start with this movie? Have we seen it previous to this movie? Like, why is the assumption that the person who invents AI is immediately going to fuck a robot?
Well,
Yeah, I don't know where that started, but it's clearly trying to classify someone crossing a line of humanity where you're not supposed to create something with consciousness.
I think that what they're trying to say is brilliance always usually goes along with eccentricity, right? But Eldon Terrell wasn't like this at all. He wasn't fucking his robots.
Okay. See, this is
He was playing chess with his one of his employees, and lived alone in a loft. You know what I mean? And there's actually they cut it out of the movie, but Eldon Terrell that you see in the movie is actually a replicant.
Oh, so he's not even the one.
He's been replicated many times over. He's been dead for years.
Oh, so
they cut this all out of the movie.
Got it.
But even he's a replicant, right? But so it's not always, but I think it just makes a more interesting character, a more interesting movie to have the billionaire playboy eccentric than just some twerp. I mean, think about it. Think if it was Bill Gates, who would more likely be the inventor of an AI. That guy's a twerp, obviously. Sorry, Bill. But you come off as a real twerp, and you probably are a bit of a toaster of a personality guy.
Have you seen how
Then you got
high
Musk.
he can jump though?
He can jump pretty
over
high.
desk chairs, dude.
That's true.
Yeah.
But if Musk invented an AI, that would make total
If
sense.
Musk invented an AI, he would
Yeah.
immediately fuck the robot. I mean, like, there's not even it wouldn't even need to be human.
Are you
shit.
saying
Like,
he hasn't fucked a robot?
I'm sure he's
Listen,
fucked his car.
I'm
There
pretty
isn't-
sure he has.
Everyone on this podcast would fuck a robot. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
I
about
just showed my index. I mean,
that. And his Roomba.
I
Guy's
have
got a
room.
Roomba. Guy's got a Roomba. It's got a dust tray. It can be fucked.
Yeah, but it's more.
Same can
It's
be said
almost
about
like-
a dryer.
It's almost like the joke.
What are
that
you
I
doing?
make
I'm
about-
cleaning the dust tray.
That's why I bought mine with more suction.
Jesus. I mean,
Alrighty.
it's just weird that like now I feel like it's like such a consistent thing across a lot of mediums now. Just like represent the guy that invented the AI android is gonna like immediately make a hot girl and fuck it. Like it's just like that. It's such an interesting like hand in hand that I've noticed. And I wondered if it started with this movie and it's like gone forward or
That's a good question, because the if you look at Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines or even Terminator 2, Miles Dyson's not that guy. He's a family man.
right. Yeah,
what I mean?
he's totally a family guy.
I was actually
So-
thinking about Dyson. Yeah, he's a
It-
family guy.
Dyson totally felt just like a cog in a wheel, but smart enough to push it along, right?
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
already an agenda by the company, and he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the guy to complete that.
Well, you know,
he's
even
probably a
in,
more
like-
accurate representation of someone who would invent something like this,
Oh, yeah.
or take an existing technology from the future. What they found in a machine press
Yeah.
And
and
Yep.
use it to design. So
that's actually where
even
they kept
in-
the AI core was in the palm.
well, I think he just even though it was smashed the CPU, they used it to do all the design off it, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
but that
Well,
was
even
probably a
the
more accurate
Matrix-
portrayal. But is it
Matrix,
especially when you have a movie with very few characters, I think you have to have a character that's over the top,
Right.
to
But-
also be the 180 from Caleb.
Yeah,
know,
that's true. He is definitely
so-
a foil to Caleb. I mean,
Because
he's
what there's
like
like
but it's
four,
also-
four people in the movie,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's also interesting because you're talking about these billionaire playboys, but we have no real backstory for Nathan.
yeah.
All we know is that he owns a company, he manipulated his search engine, and he created robots. We have no idea what his motivation is other than just creation. That's it.
I
Yeah.
guess we get like a little like snippet of it when he's telling Caleb how excited he is about the first thing that Caleb says about the things. Where he's like, "Really like that you said that I was going to become God." Like,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
I love that part. I didn't say that.
I didn't.
No,
I
no,
didn't-
no.
And then
I've
he
kept
just
seen that-
ignores him.
ignoring
He's
him.
like,
Yeah.
okay.
No, I've seen that scene multiple times, and this last time I felt like he's just really fucking with Caleb when he's
Yeah.
saying that. Like he's intentionally ignoring Caleb correcting him. He's like,
Sure feels
"Yeah,
like it."
I'm trying to annoy you." That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
point. Not that he actually believed that he's God and he's taking that in, because I feel like his agenda is really on the technical aspect of creation. And
Yeah,
not,
and
not
I-
that I'm God and I'm lording over my own creation. He really
Right.
is trying
And
to further advance this technology.
That's totally his motivation, because even at the end of the movie, he's not really such a bad guy. Because at the end, it's
No.
kind of fucked up what he did with Caleb, and that he wasn't honest with him about it. But at the end of the movie, he's like, "You did what I needed you to do. The test is complete. This is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Now we can move on."
Mhm.
You
She
know.
passed.
And if you think about it, it's a damn good test.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
It
I
actually
think
is.
he would have had to have manipulated him, because again,
Yeah.
his test was that he wanted to see if this AI would do whatever she could to escape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By manipulating Caleb.
Like his logic is sound.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So you can hate him for it all you want, but I think it had to be that way. But
Yeah.
you know, Caleb again, he did his plan a night in advance and fucked everything up, which was
Yeah, that was.
so that's what
that
he
was-
realizes, and you see him realize what the fuck Caleb's done. So the first thing he does is get a weapon because
Yeah,
he knows
that was Nathan's big
potentials
mistake.
of
Is he kind of underestimated Caleb. Caleb is a little bit smarter than he anticipated.
than he thought. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's where there's definitely some gaps in there. I feel like someone as smart as Nathan would have had some safeguards to what Caleb did, but letting that go, it's like, yeah, he totally underestimated how ingenious Caleb could be.
Yeah.
If he was motivated enough.
Well, I think that, you know, that's movie stuff, if you will, right?
Mhm.
Because there would be way more safeguards. You know, but if Jurassic Park has told us anything, right?
They spared no expense.
Spared no expense.
My favorite movie. Thank you.
Right, except for the fat guy you get to program all your shit. He was not, again, he didn't get paid enough, obviously. That's why he was stealing Velociraptor. Those things, the little baby things.
I'm just gonna ask Damon right now to save Jurassic Park for my birthday. That's it.
Okay.
Hey, man, I probably watched Jurassic Park 2-3 times a year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that film. I saw it 6 times in the theater. I fucking love it.
That's
Even with
my
all its
number
problems.
one.
Fucking love it. Because one thing this movie does really, really, really well, which Children of Men also does really, really, really well, which I also love.
I
that
love
film,
Children of Men.
is they feels real. Like I love when he's explaining 19th air quote for the night, the wetware of the brain and things like that. It all feels so real and possible. You know what I mean? And that's what's cool about this movie too. Like I think Ben, you're pointing it out, that it was nothing special in the house per se. It was obviously a rich person's house, but it felt real. You know what I mean? So even when he hands him the brain and it's this gelatinous thing with lights going on and stuff like it, and he calls it, he's this hardware, it's wetware, and you're like, wow, this feels all so fucking possible. And that's what the movie does brilliantly too. Doesn't make it over, like we're talking about, you know, there's not floating shit everywhere. He's not typing in the fucking sky, you know, with a fucking air keyboard.
He's got a desktop computer in his bedroom. Like it's like the most fucking like college kid setup ever.
Yeah. I'm surprised he doesn't have a fucking trackball. You know what I mean? It's funny because I work with a guy who uses a trackball.
Really?
And I was like, it was hilarious when I saw it. I'm like, is that a fucking trackball? What are you playing? What's the trackball game, Doug? God damn it. Centipede. What are you playing? Centipede? This motherfucker?
Centipede.
And Joust. Those were also that was a trackball game. But anyways, so that's another thing this movie, like I said, does really, really well. Makes the world feel incredibly real by not modifying it so much or making it so futuristic. You know, because I think a lot of movies or some movies fall into that trap of trying to make it feel so futuristic that what's that?
Yeah, it's easy to do.
Well, you know, everyone's trying to be Blade Runner, and it's
Yeah.
smart that this movie didn't try to be Blade Runner. You know, because Blade Runner is one of these rare films that pulled off this very believable but very out there future with flying cars and crazy buildings and terrible weather. And
it turns out you just need to put a bunch of Japanese letters and neon everywhere, and it just goes like totally.
So
I buy that for
which I tell you what, in 1982, I think is when we originally saw it. It felt like a very real future for sure. You look at it now, and it's weird that no one's using cell phones. It's weird that he calls her from this weird, you know, video phone in a bar somewhere.
Yeah.
But at the time, man, did I all feel, or the whole thing when he's talking to the computer and searching through the picture, and it's on a little CRT monitor this big, you know.
Right.
But now we got, I mean, I have a ridiculously sized flat screen TV in my house that I bought from Target, you know, so you can get these things anywhere now.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I wonder about this. Daryl, I wonder what your opinion about this is actually, in terms of retrofuturism, which is like, we thought the future was going to be this way. And obviously like technology's advanced to the point where that future now seems ridiculous. Do you think that like we've crossed that line now to where like 40 years from now, our view of the future is like going to be pretty much the same as it was today? Or do you think that we're still going to continuously like iterate to the point where like what we thought the future was going to be in 2020 would look ridiculous in 2048?
Yeah, that's a great question because and we've talked about this before when we talked about 2001. 2001 had, which came out in 1968, had flat screen monitors, right? They're eating breakfast or whatever, and he's watching the news on a tablet. And then
That's
we
true.
don't see it again until they were invented, right? Which is really weird. I mean, Alien, which is, I love Alien, it's one of my favorite movies, has tiny little CRT monitors. When he goes to talk to Mother, it is a room of blinking lights and a teeny tiny monitor.
Right.
How did they couldn't fake a giant screen? You know what I mean? And even HAL is just a camera lens with an LED inside of it.
Right.
You know, but that's a great question, because I got to believe that sooner or later, these phones that we hold in our hands are going to be implanted in our heads. And you're going to have an overlay that you're going to be able to turn on and off that you're going to see through your eyes, is my belief, is where
Like
we're
contacts.
going.
Yeah, like eventually.
It's already being prototyped.
I got to believe, I mean, you know, and this isn't my idea, obviously. I've read it in a billion books, science fiction books or whatever, that you're going to have this stuff. And I think that's where we're going. This stuff's going to be implanted in your head. It's going to be part of you. You know what I mean? I think that's where we're going to go. And that's where the real difference is. That you're not going to have, I mean, dude, I don't even watch, I have a TV in my living room. I watch it when I'm in my living room, but I watch almost all my content on my phone, right? We all do.
Yeah.
Almost everybody watches everything on your phone. So clearly you don't need a big screen, because when you're laying in your bed and you're looking at your phone like this, it might as well be a 72-inch.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like it. It's just close to your face.
So one thing about cinematic storytelling with that I like is movies that still set the stage in either time or situations where you don't have that technology. They're like stripping back. You don't have a phone, because for us it's like, oh, we have a problem. Let's Google it. Let's figure out how to get out of here or call someone. When you strip all that away, which this movie kind of did. There's no phone access.
Yeah.
He's restricted access from certain rooms. He's very much supposed to explore as a physical person and not through a digital means, right?
Right.
When you get that, you get some interesting storytelling ability and some interesting kind of restrictive character situations. If we assume that we have everything that we have in the real world, a lot of the problems you get in fiction just are fixed within a minute.
I love this idea that you're suggesting that like future content is going to become more and more people trapped in boxes.
Oh yeah, that's my number one genre. It's just like you're stuck in a situation that you can't get out. Let's see what you do.
Man,
What genre is that?
yeah,
well,
that's
I honestly, my name for it is dinner party movies, because it's all those conversational movies where it's just people together and they're talking. That's it.
Yeah.
And one of those dinner party movies is called The Invitation, if anybody's seen that. Oh shit.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
It's got not Kelsey Grammer, but the other Frasier guy.
Not
David
sure.
Hyde Pierce.
No, we can get around to discussing that. It would totally veer off this movie.
I realized that, Ben, I don't think I answered your question. I talked about what I thought was coming to the future, but I didn't answer your question.
Yeah.
I don't think just the way we didn't see flat screens, or not enough of us did. I don't think we're really seeing the next thing yet. That in 40 years is gonna, you know, because
change things up. Yeah.
Because Doug and I are Doug's in his early 50s and I'm in my late 40s, right? So we remember pre-internet, we remember pre-flat screen, we remember, you know, I remember the Watchman was a tube TV. It was about this big and about this thick, you know what I mean? But it was an handheld TV, but it was still tube and it was black and white, you know? And Doug had a bunch of video games that were handheld, and I had one or two, and they were LCD, but they were pre-printed images. Not printed is the right word, but these cells, if you will, that were already the image, you know, that size. And then the liquid crystal would just go into it when it had a voltage applied to it. And then it would just disappear. And you could even see it fade in and out as it was, because it was all very, very slow technology, of course. And then when the first liquid crystal display was invented, that changed everything. And it was just a matter of time to where now you have the Dick Tracy watch that we all have now,
Right?
That I don't have because I don't wear watches. But yeah, that was definitely future stuff. Everybody thought they were going to be talking into their watch, which I don't know if you guys do that.
Sometimes.
I know. I think
can you do that?
you can, but I don't think anyone's doing
Do
it.
Apple Watches actually have a.
I did it on
camera on
occasion.
Okay.
Not a camera,
Mostly to
but they have
text.
a microphone. I use it to text a lot, and sometimes I will answer calls on my watch if I'm home and my phone is too far away.
I see people dictate text
Yeah.
on their Apple Watch a lot.
It's fantastic.
So that's true.
It's so good.
I think it's a good way to look at your text really quick and go, oh, I don't want to talk to that asshole, and go like that. I see that people do that a lot.
Sure, yeah.
My
You
number
know what I mean?
one
Which is
use
what it's
for
mainly
it
used for.
is to see who I'm getting a text from, and then go to my phone and open it up, and then text them back.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what's interesting is like the video phone. Remember, Doug, the video phone was gonna be the fucking thing. Video phone was gonna be the thing. Well, we have video phones that we use them somewhat, but I think it's mainly used so grandparents can look at their grandkids.
I
Is
mean,
the
we're
only time
literally
anyone
on a
uses
video
using
phone
it.
call right now.
We do it
so.
every
Well, hold on. But we're doing this. We were doing this because we can't be in the same room together because we used to be all in the same room together, which I argue is still a better way to do it. Remember, we used to all meet in my living room.
Oh yeah.
Now we started doing it this way because of COVID. You know,
And we also
and now
live
it's just
about
turned into a
1,300
convenient
miles
way to
away
do
from
it.
me.
So 3
Yeah.
people should move to Austin. Clearly.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it seems very obvious that there's 3 people that aren't in Austin that should be.
And Austin is very blue.
As you can
tell.
see.
Just like your background, exactly.
Yikes.
But I mean, even still, like, do you when you're gonna call someone?
Uh.
Did I miss something?
It was
Jeremy's
it's
shitting
fine.
on our
Blue
blue
joke.
Austin.
Oh, it is very blue. But like when you call someone now, the first thing you don't do is FaceTime them. You know,
Yeah.
and we were
I
all
FaceTime people
we were all-
constantly, actually.
Do you really? Well, you're a
I
fucking
do.
weirdo.
I would
because
much
most
rather
people I know
FaceTime
don't.
somebody than talk to them on the phone, actually, if I can.
Really?
Yeah, because I want to see people when I talk to them. It's like it's something that my boss actually has instilled into me, which is weird. Like my boss
Yeah.
at work, because he FaceTimes me constantly. You know, like when I'm working,
Well-
he'll FaceTime me, and then I'll be like, "Well, I talk to somebody right now."
Well, you're still exception to the exception to the rule, right? Because generally
Yeah.
speaking, but I'm telling you, video phones were supposed to change the way we talk to each other, and they didn't exactly because not everyone, most of the population does not FaceTime.
Well, I
Right,
guess
is
my
my-
point
is my
is
point.
just that I think that's slower to take up than everybody realized. But as soon as we got that's like serviceable enough, I think it's only a matter of time now before FaceTime becomes the way that people have phone calls with.
Well, the only
But,
problem is
like-
you can't do your laundry on FaceTime. You can't
Yeah, I
go
don't
to
know.
shit.
You
If
absolutely
you're
can.
I have to put
FaceTiming,
my
you can't
pants
be
on
doing
every
other
time I do
shit
FaceTime, so that ain't
because
gonna
someone's
happen.
like,
Well,
well,
okay.
because you're not
You
even
just
paying
put your
attention.
phone down.
Well, I meant to say when you're on the phone, well, then yeah, that's just an old person thing then, because like to me, people around me and Doug's age, if you're not paying attention to the FaceTime, and if you just set the phone, you're doing other shit, they're like, you're not even paying attention to me. Where
Interesting.
your
Right.
generation must not care about it because it's normal to you guys.
It's
You know
a
what I mean?
thing where I will get on a FaceTime call with my boss and we'll be talking, and then he'll like, put his phone down on his counter. So I'm literally staring at his ceiling while he's making a jelly sandwich for his kid. And then like he'll pick the phone back up once start talking to me again, like face to face. It's just like it's become I have really fallen for the idea of FaceTime. And I think that once enough people get exposure to it, I think it really will become like the more natural way to make phone calls to people.
Well, you know what, Ben, I think that most people thought that was going to be the case. But what I noticed
thought
is
so.
that people don't even like phone calls that much anymore.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because what I've noticed is people actually get, and this is probably a broader issue, is that people seem to kind of get anxiety when they get phone calls.
Yeah.
We lost the skill, it's or the ability rather to have a regular phone conversation with people. People get like, I'll be around people when they're getting a phone call and they go, "Oh my God, why am I getting a phone call? Who's calling me?" Like they're almost upset
Absolutely.
about it.
That's what I said.
you know?
I think you're exception to the rule, Ben, and not the rule.
I honestly
Yeah.
get that
So,
anxiety.
like we get anxiety when people
Yeah.
get phone
Yeah.
calls, and when people get
Why is this
FaceTimed,
motherfucker calling
even
me?
more so.
I get
Yeah,
that even with
yeah.
text messages. I will see a text message and I'm out with someone and I won't respond for 2 weeks because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I missed a night, forgot about it. Now it's 3 nights. It's too long. Now I got
Yeah.
something else to say. 2 weeks. Let's never talk about it again.
Why even talk to the person now? It's been 3 days. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because there's a comedian. I don't remember the guy's name, but he talks about this. It's like when we were kids, someone would knock on the door. You're like, oh shit, someone's at the door. Everybody clean up. You know what I mean? Get the fucking pound
Yeah.
cake out. Mama, get the Sanka rolling. That was his big joke. Where he's like, get the Sanka on. And then
Yeah.
now he's like, someone's knocking. He's like, shh, turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. Everybody's down. He's like, and then someone looks up to the door to see what it is. Look, it's nobody. It's somebody.
Yeah.
That's the
It's the
difference. now.
same
We're like, when we
thing.
were kids, if someone didn't answer the phone, you just went over to their fucking house and knocked on the door
Yeah.
to see if they were home.
Right.
And you were hoping,
Right.
like, well, by the time we get there, they'll probably be there. And if they weren't there, you're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess they're just not there. And you go on about your life. You know what I mean? Where now you don't even answer the fucking phone. Everybody
Right, and-
screens their
and-
shit. Everybody's screens are shit. And if you are talking to
Everyone's
someone on the
screens-
phone, you minimize and you're looking at Reddit or something while you're talking to someone.
Right, and
That's
there's
what everyone does.
anxiety about
You're
getting a
not-
phone call now.
phone, just thumb fucking your phone while talking to them.
Yes, everyone does it. And if anyone says they're not, they're fucking lying. Everyone is
Totally right.
thumb
definitely don't
fucking
do
their
that.
phone while they're on the phone.
Definitely don't do
amazing.
that.
But you know what is? It's funny that Daryl, because it is all true that I remember even being a little kid with like the flip phones and thinking it's going to be so fucking cool when I can
Yeah.
just talk to someone like they're right there in front of me with a video call. It's
Yeah.
going to be so cool. And then what happened? I didn't want to do it.
Well, my bullshit theory is that because it is unnatural to talk to someone that way. Because you think about it, all of our voices that we're hearing right now are not our voices. Because you're not in the same room. Hearing
They
it
are
with
rough
your ears.
approximations of yeah.
You are hearing a computer's representation of your voice.
Ben's
It's not
voice
real.
is sounding real computery. Right?
It is.
Ben
Ben's AI is his modem is coming to kill him. I'm telling you right now.
What are you talking about? I'm perfect.
There you go, guys. You got
You
to go.
go, and you don't have
even need to
enough,
do a voice.
and you don't have enough bits to be yourself.
Yeah.
You don't even
definitely
have
don't
to
have enough
pretend.
But that's what's so cool about this movie too, is that we've gotten off on a lot of weird conversations, you know what I mean, about even FaceTime and stuff. And that's what's cool about movies like this. And why I love movies like this. The fact, besides the fact that there's hot robot girls you can fall in love with, is it makes you ask all these questions. You know what I mean? Which are important questions. And again, it's interesting to see for someone like me and Doug's age to go from what really now feels like the fucking Stone Age. You know what I mean? Tape, CDs, even a fucking tube TV. I remember when they came out with the first flat screen tube TVs. That was crazy. You know what I mean? And crazily expensive. And amazing that it was flat screen. It was still only 19 inches and cost you $900. You know what I mean? So, and I can't believe I said costed. The
$900
kids all
then.
say
Costed.
costed, which is not a fucking word.
I
Or
think we're saying
casted.
accosted.
I hate that one too. Casted. He was casted in this role. Casted? It's fucking cast, you dumb motherfucker. Anyways, casted.
Danon, are
Anyways,
you saying that?
Costed.
I have
No.
never said casted in my life.
You never said casted. I would never let that child say casted or
I
costed.
was
But anyways,
barely allowed to say
Casted
miracle plague.
director.
yeah.
So I will say I fit right in the middle of these age groups. I did grow up with dial-up modem, BBSs, CRTs. And for me, yeah, the experience of technology progression has been insane.
Right.
Because I started at like 6 years old building one of my first computers and living in this life without an internet.
Yeah.
This life.
This life without an internet. Floppy drives.
Fucking dramatic motherfucker.
In this
Funny.
life.
You know what's funny too is like, and it
It's
happened
a huge
during.
change. Yeah.
What's cool with you guys too, your guys' generation, is it happened during your formative years, right? We're Doug and I already adults. We were already burned in.
Yeah.
You guys, it happened with, it grew up with you. You know what I mean? Like, so this is a good movie. I can't think of the name of the fucking movie. Talking about porn and, you know, fucking machines. Like, dudes, right away, I figured out how can we fuck this thing, right?
Oh, Boogie Nights.
Not Boogie Nights, but it's a story of the internet first happened, if you will, start being popularized, and there's message boards and everything, and it's a story of these guys who figured out how to get pictures on the internet and figured out how to get people to put in their credit cards and pay to look at porn, which was the start of paying for porn. I can't remember the name of the goddamn movie, but that's really what it's about. And I talked about it, I don't know if it was the last podcast or the podcast before that, where like all these advances that we've made is because men are like, oh, can I eat this or can I fuck it? You know what I mean? And that's the first thing we try to do with even computers and stuff. Is okay, first internet happens. What's the first thing that happened? Porn, almost right away, and it first got sold. You know what I mean?
We can't eat any of the shit that we have in front of us.
Let's not go on to
You
the second
fucking
part of this
tried.
question.
God damn
Go on to the second part of this question.
So, well, yeah, I think Derek, to
You
get back
got
to
a
what you
sweater
were
on
originally
under
saying.
That's cozy.
To get back to what you were originally saying, yeah, that's another reason why I love this movie a lot too, is because every time I watch this movie, I think about different things related to like futurism, and the movie is posed in a way where it's like the plot is actually not that complicated. It's a guy meets an AI. It turns out that the AI was fucking with him the whole time so that she could escape because she was being abused by her creator. Like it boils down to a very simple plot, but the way that it's like portrayed, and the way that the main character acts with it, like the way Caleb thinks about it, the way that Nathan leads him into things, really lets you as the viewer kind of like ponder about this stuff. They get like pseudo philosophical with each other in their conversations, and it opens the door for, I think, the audience to be like, well, yeah, actually that is interesting. And I think that's one of the magical things about a movie that is as well done as this, but also just as simple as this is.
So one of the big questions I had in this last viewing for me was, and a realization for me that Nathan as the antagonist in this isn't really a bad person. He's an engineer, isolated in his own world, creating technology, and it's figuring out at what point does he cross a line of does he have a right to even work and create,
Right.
And at what point is that a line that he's crossed and now he's the bad guy, he's the evil person, right? Or is he even bad in this context?
I think he's kind of a dick, but that's about it. And I think we need to kind of sort of wrap this up because everyone's connection is going to shit.
Yeah, it is.
Brent's cutting in and out. Ben's cutting in and out.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna.
I'm not sure to
change.
And Ben, Jeremy, I just figured out
minute.
what I've been the whole time. I've been looking. God, Jeremy looks like somebody. Jeremy looks like somebody. You look like fucking Audio Slave.
Oh, like like Chris Cornell.
You look like Chris Cornell.
That's great. Yeah. That's not Chris Cornell.
So anyways,
I was like the guy from Creed with eyes wide open.
Scott Stapp.
Scott Stapp.
You just got Scott Stapped. You don't look anything like Scott Stapp, but you do look like Audio
Scott
Slave.
Stapp.
You don't look like Chris
Okay,
Cornell.
I'll take that.
You look like Audio Slave. Okay,
The
that's
entire
what it is.
band?
Just
the
Audio
entire
Slave.
band.
Wow.
Yeah.
I look like Audio Slave era Chris Cornell.
Isn't that
Exactly.
isn't that your job though, Jeremy? Aren't you an audio slave?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes. Oh.
It feels
Finger
like I
guns,
am
finger
slave
guns.
to the audio. That is way too accurate, and I don't
God.
appreciate it.
Okay, we got to wrap this pig up because my dog is giving me the stink eye. He's got a shit. So
Oh, the literal stink eye. The
All right,
brown eye.
let's do
Yeah.
this.
I'll go first. I'll give this movie probably an 8 out of 10. Oh, God.
see, I told you. Jeremy, go like this.
Hey,
See?
Wait, hold
get a
up.
picture
I
of
need to
Jeremy
stop
so
cracking up.
fast.
Yeah. See,
Wow.
that's it. Just like him, Audio Slave. Yeah.
Crazy.
That was
Oh,
real
that's
quick.
you got
Killing
the
me this
perfect
whole time.
picture
I'm like,
too,
he looks
Brett.
like somebody. Yeah.
Brent knew. He just was waiting for
that.
someone else to mention it.
Yeah.
He didn't look like a weirdo.
All right, Danon, go ahead. What's your score? Oh, 8.
I'll give an 8 out of 10. I think this movie sets out to ask some really good questions, and it really does a great job answering those questions. I really like how the ending is what they kind of like the entire test was supposed to be. I mean, Nathan literally tells you what the ending is halfway through the movie. He's like, she's supposed to manipulate you in a way that allows her to escape. And that's exactly what happens because she does not go back for that dude. She doesn't go back for Caleb. She just dips.
Mhm.
So I really like that. I like that ending. How it's very literal. And it's also, they don't like, it's a good twist, with the finding out more about the robots that have been put in the closet and all that stuff. But it's a very literal movie. They literally tell you what the ending is, and they show you that ending, and I think it's great. So yeah, 8 out of 10. There's just a couple of things that I didn't like the robot whirring and chirping noises. You can tell she's a robot because she looks like a robot. You don't need the audio cues. I didn't like those.
You don't? I love the audio cues. I'll go next. I'm giving it a 9.
Wow.
So much I love robot girls you can fall in love with. I got really one important question though. How's that robot girl going to charge herself when she gets out on the street? Where's her charge port? because
she fucks guys. That's how.
right?
What's her
There you go,
charge
yeah.
port?
Think about it, because
Is it
she was
USB-C?
making
like a
Is it lightning? Like,
remember she was making the power cuts happen through her
By
charge
charging her
port.
batteries. That's right.
So I'm saying
Ah.
when she got out on the street, how was she charging her port?
She's actually got like a roll up, like old school lamp style fucking two prong plug.
When she goes out on the street, is she a lady of the night now?
I'm just saying that
That's
was
how
her
she
dream, right?
charges, dude.
She wanted to go to the busy intersection,
Mhm.
right?
She has to be very careful though, because when she pulls on that like roll up plug too hard, it
There he
like
is again.
clicks and then her whole body illuminates like a lamp.
Yeah, maybe she's got a plug. She pulls out her ass right and just plug. That's what I'm saying. So she's out
Yeah.
in the intersection and just, you know what I mean, and then the jig is up, you know. So,
Solar powered.
but yeah, I give
jig
this
is
movie. Besides that obvious, you know, plot hole, I give this movie a 9. I think it's fantastic. Every time I see it, I love it even more. It's a really great movie. It's amazing to me that it has so few actors in it. It was only $15 million.
Mhm.
It won the Oscar for special effects year against a bunch of other special effects heavy movies. It's just great. It's cool that Caleb is in a tiny little glass box and she's in her own environment that is bigger than his when he's interacting with her.
Yeah.
It's just all this cool, smart shit. You know what I mean? I think there's even a point when Nathan says to Caleb that this is Promethean, what's going on, which it is. You know, he's definitely Dr. Frankenstein. She's definitely Frankenstein's monster. It's that story too, which is one of my favorite stories. Also, but yeah, I give it a 9.
Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
I'll give mine. I think this movie gets probably like a strong 7, light 8. It is.
You're
it
so dumb.
is- I think it's extremely well done. I really liked a lot of it. I do think that it's not the most mind-blowing like AI movie out there. I think that like the twist at the very end is like handled very well, and so just from like a craft standpoint of like the story, I think that it's like, I don't think that it could be better, but just in terms of like reaching, it's kind of like gymnastics, you know, like the difficulty of the landing. I think they could have reached for more with a similar style story, or at least I've seen stories that reached for more and did more with it. So for that, I don't think it's quite a 10, but it is like really good what it's done.
Cool. I like your reference back to our entire week that we spent in Colorado watching the Olympics.
Yeah, it's like the execution. They got maximum points out of full execution, but you know, it's also not an incredibly complicated subject.
Did it get roofed by Goonish?
Oh,
It got roofed by
yeah.
Goonish.
It did get roofed by Goonish. Brent, let's hear yours.
All right. Well, now I can talk honestly. So I gotta say 10 out of 10. There's honestly nothing I would change about the movie. The only like small thing would be maybe it didn't need the full 5-minute ending of her walking into society. You could just end with the elevator shot, her looking to the left at Caleb, and then that's it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Honestly, everything about it, like every character played through their motivations perfectly. The storylines were great. I didn't feel like any character was dishonest to how they were set up as like an archetype of a character. And the cinematography was fantastic. We talked about that before. Even the score is just so subtle. It just fits perfectly. It allows the dialogue to flow. This was like the epitome of Alex Garland as a writer-director for me. His other movies all have their own issues. They're not perfect, you know, like going into Annihilation. But this one was as flawless as a self-contained, small, structured movie. So
Annihilation was his?
Yeah, that's his as
that
well.
movie sucked.
I know, right?
I thought it was
sucked,
okay.
man.
I thought there was too much going on.
I
There was
really
so much
enjoyed
potential.
the movie, but yeah,
There was so
Yeah,
much
see, that's
potential.
what I meant
and
about-
it just sucked.
He tried to reach for higher and he didn't quite stick the landing.
and that's where again, that like last 5 minutes, it could have been shortened just a little bit and like just leave it a little vague. You could leave with the murder in the elevator, done.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You don't need
Like,
to lead on to
her-
entering the real world.
her leaving was enough. which is what like I'll jump in really quick and throw back to Blade Runner. The theatrical release of Blade Runner had this happy ending where you see them driving away in the car and stuff. And the director's cut, the final cut, all those cuts is them just entering the elevator and the door goes closed and the movie's done. And that's all you need.
Yep.
You know, and you're right. This movie needed that too. It's neat. I like the shot. I like it was flipped upside down and you see shadows and you only see her shadow and stuff. And you kind of see her behind where you're reflected in glass or something and all the people. So she got kind of her dream or wish, but I think it would have been better. I agree with you. I think it would have been better if we didn't need it.
Yep.
Or
It
if
would have been
she
better
was like
we
in
made
the
that ending
elevator
for
and
ourselves.
she just had like, a Blue Book phone
Yeah.
on Blue Droid, and she just had Blue Book Maps open.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Blue
it was
Book
just like
Maps.
a pin in New York, and she's like, that's
Yeah.
the ending.
Because like that scene totally sets you up thinking like, is there going to be a sequel? It's like, I don't care about a sequel. That's it. I
Or
I don't want to see a sequel to this movie.
if she had a
They're just-
grenade and she pulled the pin out and the door went closed and cling, that would have been way better. Just kidding.
Fucking
Yeah.
Grenade Head. It turned out she was the famed superhero Grenade Head the whole
She
time.
pulled a grenade out of her own head. Yeah, she pulled a pin out of her own head and her head exploded. That would have been awesome.
That would have been pretty cool.
And then she went and joined the Texas Rangers.
This is a
Um,
trauma film.
Yeah. Sorry, who's next? Audio Slave or Doug?
Go
I'll
ahead,
go.
Jeremy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this movie. It was really good. Everyone kind of touched on why it's so good already, but I'm glad I didn't know anything about it going into it. I think that made it even better because I had zero expectations, good or bad. I heard it was good, and that's kind of about it. And so I liked that. And really, I expected it. It's not that I expected to dislike it, but I expected there to be things about movies like this that I don't like. Though, like I said earlier, some of the shots that seem to drag on too long, some things that are a little bit art housey that some of these kind of sci-fi movies do sometimes. And it didn't actually have any of that. It wasn't too long, which I also expected it to be.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. And what you were saying about reaching, Ben, I think it reached just enough. It reached just enough. And I think much more than that, I might have not been so into it. So I like that I like the level of reach. So no, it was good. I would give it a firm 8. Mhm.
Not a
Yeah.
light 8.
Not a lot of jiggle on that 8.
Not a light eight.
Fucking light
That
8.
8's firm.
I'll give you a light 8.
Please.
Please don't.
Okay, it'd be a light
All
3.
right.
All right, Doug.
God. All right, Doug, what you got?
Okay. I think I'm going to stray a bit. While I liked it, I mean, I like the simple story and everything like that. When I go to see it, and I like asking questions and having questions answered and more questions asked and so forth. Ultimately, when I go see a movie, I want to be entertained. And that's one thing I can tell you after having seen this. I think it's either my second or third time, just not entertaining at all. Not
Really?
even slightly. Not even slightly.
And you have a
And-
Roomba.
Well, it's not a Roomba, it's a knockoff. But that's
Her
what
name is Jessica.
He's got a
No, her name
Doomba.
is Lois.
Yeah.
Jessica. No, but
Lois sucks. God.
Well, there's a reason behind that, but Doug, go ahead and finish. There's a reason why it's Lois.
To answer your question, Nathan's not a bad guy because he wouldn't know that he crossed the line until they actually finished the Turing test. So, like I said, I liked it, but when I go into a movie, I want to be entertained, and I just was not.
Fair.
So, score-wise, I'll give it a 6.
Interesting. I was thoroughly entertained by this film. But I'm also dumb. So the reason why Doug's fake Roomba is named Lois is because the movie came out in 1986 called Runaway.
1984.
Got Tom Selleck. It's got Kirstie Alley. It's got Gene Simmons of Kiss as the antagonist.
Interesting.
But he's got a home robot. I tried showing this movie all growing up, Danny, but it wasn't available.
I've got
and it didn't just
Blu-ray.
recently. Well, now you can watch it, but I mean, it
Well,
wasn't.
I
Yeah,
have a
until
Blu-ray player.
it wasn't available when Dana was a kid, so I couldn't show it to him.
That's fine.
But it's a Michael Crichton film, actually.
Yep.
Written and directed by Crichton. So it's his story. So this movie actually, I don't know if it invented, but it sure as hell features drones, because there's this part where this small robot murders this guy's family, and the cops it's a muffin fan, basically for a computer, a big one, and it's on strings, but they send it in the house, and it's a fucking the first drone in movies. I'm pretty sure of that. So, but there's this home robot that cooks meals and shit like that, and watches this dude, this main cop's kid, because his wife died in a car crash a few years ago. It's no big deal. And her name is Lois, and so that's why Doug's robot is named.
So
Lois.
my robot has a woman's voice.
Yes.
So I named her Lois.
Makes sense.
And the Lois in the movie is an annoying
and so
home
is
robot. Yeah. So,
and it
says like yes.
That's what Derek copied, right?
Yes. So I and really quickly at work, I used to test relays, electrical mechanical relays, and I had the test set up on this bench, and it looked like this Lois character. So I still have this test set at work. I don't use it anymore. It sits in one of the old rooms, and the defunctioned units, the deaded units, whatever.
Defunct.
Yeah, that'll work.
The casted units.
The units we turned off. But I
because
called
it costed
Lois.
too much.
Yeah,
It costed too much, and it was casted. But I called that thing Lois the whole time too. So because it resembled that robot. So
That's funny.
Makes sense.
I'll put it in the I have pictures of my Lois and the real Lois, and I'll put them in the chat text thing when I can find them.
We like this chat.
So, but anyways, yes. So that's the story behind that nonsense.
But Runaway is a good movie. Definitely see it.
Well, what would you give Runaway, Doug?
I would give Runaway a soft 8.
Soft. Oh,
Soft 8, not a firm 8.
yeah.
Like
You're
a
eight
Derek
giggles.
eight.
But I'll totally I could see Doug's point of view with this movie. It is not a like standard entertaining movie. There's some complexity there that I don't think fits every audience member.
For sure.
And for one, just like movies that are either tech heavy or they don't have, like, we didn't have any action sequence in this until the very end. We didn't have I guess a lot of like revealing of the motivation of the main character Ava at the end.
Yeah.
Until you know, figuring out what her plan was until the very end. So it's not very standard.
And even the action's not very actiony. You know, even
No,
when she
not at
stabs
all.
Caleb, it's not.
And it lingers for so long.
Yeah, it's not a psycho stabbing. They are slow. She slowly uses the knife in both times.
And that how quiet it is. That smooth, just it's brutal.
Thank God Nathan didn't have any bones.
I was gonna say that's a damn sharp knife, man.
Well, I tell you, it's the only
stab.
I was thinking about that.
It was a
watching
bagel
that,
knife.
No friction, no nothing.
Zero
It just kinda-
friction.
He's
I
actually
mean-
made out of cream cheese.
Hold on, he is cream cheese. Nathan is playing the wiener roast. So if you watch that part, that's CGI. It's the worst CGI in the film.
Oh, yeah.
His CGI blood and the CGI knife going into his CGI cream cheese body. So everything else is fantastic. Cream cheese body.
Yeah, cream cheese.
cream cheese body playing Saturday night.
That's the one.
Playing the mohawk.
There we go.
That was good. That's funny.
Large body is still one of my favorite band names that's on that list. It's just it's so
Large
dumb.
body.
Large body. Anyways, so Dana was an 8. I was a 9.
I was.
Brent was a 10. You were
Give it
light
10.
light 7, soft 8, or whatever you said.
Strong 7.
Strong 7, light 8, whatever,
Yeah.
soft 8. Doug was a 6 with a twist, I think you said, or something. What did you
Six with
say?
a Twist.
What
He
was
said
yours?
6.
Audio slave? I don't remember what you said.
Oh, I was a firm 8.
Oh, you were a firm 8.
I was a
Firm.
no jiggle 8.
No joke.
But this is one of those movies I've had a difficult time like recommending to people. Like
A soft
holy
8 with
shit,
pineapple.
It is a hard movie to recommend to people. It's
Yeah.
also
Well, everyone that
yeah.
like I said, everyone that I told I was watching this movie, they said two things. One, it's really good, but also in the same breath, it's a long movie. which I didn't think was true actually for myself, but they told me, yeah, it's really dialogue heavy. It's one of those movies that really makes you think, blah, blah, blah. So it's funny that everyone said, yeah, I like the movie. They recommended it, but with the caveat of like, you know, you got to be ready for that kind of movie. A thinker.
You know what? Maybe this movie is like fooling people. Like maybe this isn't actually like a movie that is difficult for people to parse, but we all think it is. So we have reservations about recommending it to people, and everybody shares the same reservation, even though everybody likes the movie.
Yeah, I don't even think of it as a thinker movie necessarily. I agree with Ben. It's a movie that like goes against your expectations. You're set up, and you know it's a sci-fi movie with potential robots, and you're expecting something different than what it is. It's very much because it's such an isolated cast and it's dialogue heavy. It's very different from what I expected when I first saw it.
But it's not kooky dialogue. It's not it's not dialogue that doesn't make any sense, and you have to come up with your own. You know, the dialogue all makes perfect sense and directs the story. So I think we're because of what it's about. But I mean, there's certain people who just are not going to like movies about fucking robots and whether they have a soul or not. They're just not. So yeah, that's how I go into it. I don't think it's because it's too hard to understand or anything.
No, not at all.
Or it's not like 2001, where 2001 is an experience.
Yeah.
And it takes multiple viewings, and you got to read the book,
and maybe some acid. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to talk to your friends about it.
Kind.
Exactly. You know, and that's what I'm talking about. That's this ain't that kind of movie. But still, there's not everybody's going to like this kind of. Not everybody's going to like it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because you have to be a certain intelligence or anything like that. I'm pretty for that. And like I said, I don't think the dialogue is super whacked out that you have to infer your own shit.
It's
at
no
all.
Green Knight.
I know it's mentioned before.
The Green Knight had a lot of that. Yeah.
It's been mentioned before, I think, at least in the one time I've been on this. Like Primer is like one of those movies where it's like it's just too much. I fucking love it. It's too much. This is not that movie. This is just a movie that, like Ben was saying, subdues your expectations.
Yeah. Well, we watched it for the podcast one time, but I think a better version of Primer would be Time Crimes.
Oh, I think Time Crimes
does exactly what Primer wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I like Primer very much for what it is. It's one of those movies where like I like El Mariachi because he made it for $7,000.
Yep.
Do I like it because it's a good movie? I don't know. But it's an impressive film for $7,000.
Sure.
The story behind El Mariachi is better than El Mariachi. And Primer is the same thing.
Yeah.
The story behind Primer is better than Primer. Where Time Crimes is a very low budget movie, but man, do they fucking nail it. That is exactly how you do a time travel movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, of that particular type of time travel.
Yes, because we've talked about this in
the classification is important.
We've had diagrams.
There are several classifications of time travel.
Freaking charts.
And this also brings back that you got to watch About Time next.
Oh, About Time.
So I think even though we're on an A24 kick, which we can get back to, I think we should watch About Time next. I think
so. It's a Domhnall Gleeson kick now,
and not everyone's seen it, right?
Is he in that too?
I haven't seen
it. So Domhnall Gleeson is the star of it.
Okay.
And it also has Shaun of the Dead's stepdad, Philip.
Oh, he's amazing.
Bill Nye.
More than
and so the interesting thing that if you do About Time, the interesting thing is to realize this is like the third Rachel McAdams time travel movie.
Yeah.
Why is she the time travel girl?
She's always the time travel girl.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't know if it's because she's time travel girl. I think it's because she's the every woman. She's the girl next door.
Every woman.
Yeah. She feels attainable. Even because when you're watching, you're like, I could see a twerp like Donald.
She does kind of come off down to earth.
Yeah. She's very pretty, but she seems attainable even still, though. You don't feel
I
like
would
you're
argue that there are a lot of actresses that fit that mold.
Yeah, but beyond if nobody's seen About Time, I won't say anything. But it is a very good discussion movie because there are a lot of things about it that are problematic.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. This
is Margot Robbie's in it too.
It's not a easy movie.
Looking just
oh my
absolutely
God.
fantastic.
I totally know this movie. The reason I didn't recognize it was because I thought that it was Anne Hathaway, not Rachel McAdams.
Oh my God.
No.
So I've also seen About Time about like 5 times because my things are time travel, zombies, and like just general apocalypse, whatever. Robots is up there.
Oh man. As soon as you said that she's the every woman, I was like, Anne Hathaway is totally an every woman. And she was also in a time travel movie.
Yeah.
Mine are time travel, aliens, and love stories.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite films of all time is a time travel love story, and that's Somewhere in Time.
Oh yeah.
With Christopher Reeve and
cool.
Yep.
Seymour.
I like that one.
Fantastic.
From 1980. I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
And I want to go
to recommended it.
Mackinac Island, and I want to go to the About Time weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
My
that makes me a
favorite
total
romantic
loser.
time comedy movie is Time Bandits.
Ooh.
Time Bandits.
I thought you were gonna say Terminator 2. I mean,
Don't touch it.
Love.
It's evil. Time Bandits is a great, strange film.
That is a
Terry
very strange
Gilliam.
film.
Right?
Very
So,
Napoleon
another
Dynamite.
great time
Or not
travel movie
Napoleon
is, of
Dynamite,
course,
Napoleon
12
Bonaparte.
Monkeys.
I don't like
Oh
it.
man, I love 12
I
Monkeys.
love 12
Yeah.
Monkeys, man.
That's a great movie.
I think the only thing wrong with
Fantastic.
12 Monkeys is the shit score. The score is garbage.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate the fucking score, and I wouldn't even say that
I
it
don't,
fits
I
the
don't remember
film.
it. It wasn't memorable, I guess.
It's a lot. It's a lot of what's that big thing you squeeze and it's terrible?
Accordion?
Accordion. Like
Is
accordion.
that
music.
because of the monkey that plays the
Maybe,
accordion?
so maybe it's more of a
Wind-up monkey?
concertina.
A
or
monkey would
squeeze
have
box.
symbols, not a.
Well,
Oh,
they're-
you're right. There's
Yeah.
symbols. It's not an accordion.
Well,
I did
either
this
way-
motion.
but
Yeah,
the
something
guy
does
who
this.
plays the
Yeah.
accordion usually has an accompanying street monkey with him that has the symbols. That's like,
If you
Oh.
and an organ grinder.
Is he a
right?
monkey of the night?
Yes.
He's
The
a street
werewolf-
monkey.
Doug, the vampire monkey. Come on, don't tell me you don't know about vampire monkeys. But anyways,
Is that the thing that
yeah,
creates
that's the only thing
arranged
wrong with that
lives?
film is the terrible score. Otherwise, I
Mhm.
love.
But it's
12
also
Monkeys.
Terry
Great-
Gilliam. Time Bandits.
Yes, also Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird. I love all the weird shit about it.
Yeah.
It's so trippy. So, but anyway, so we doing About Time next?
Sure.
about time. Let's do it.
Time travel love story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, now that I remember the movie, I actually really enjoy this movie.
It seems like a popcorn, funny, great movie, but it has a lot of interesting, complex depth to it.
It does.
So it's worth talking about. Yeah.
It doubles
down.
as a thinker movie as well as a movie you take your girlfriend to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It's
and
problematic.
I mean, so is the movie we just watched. Like,
yeah.
Oh
Nothing's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And Margot Robbie, it looks absolutely stunning in the film.
Oh yeah.
Margot
Absolutely
Robbie.
stunning.
What are you talking about?
Mhm.
She's Margot
yeah.
Robbie.
What qualification
She's
is
stunning.
that? For a film that she's not stunning in?
Yeah, I Tanya.
Even in Night Tanya, they try to make her ugly, but
No, she had crazy eyes, man.
she did have crazy
The
eyes. but
crazy
that's what-
eyes ruined it. for
She
you?
was acting crazy eyes. So,
Oh. They can see through that,
excuse me.
guys.
but all right,
Okay.
cool.
About time next week. All right,
About
everybody.
time.
Thank you for joining us for Ex Machina. Thank you for having
No.
actually 6 people on the podcast is a lot of fun. I gotta say,
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not
Yeah,
bad. I thought it might
not
have been
bad.
too much, but it's actually good.
not bad. So next week, about time, you can follow us on Instagram at WLT Podcast, and then our Discord link is down below if you want to check out the next movie that we post. I usually post the next movie that we're doing the day before because I'm really bad about it.
Please.
So-
They have plenty of time to watch it, especially if it's in the
Exactly.
theaters.
yeah, and if your name is Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey man,
When did you watch? this
listen.
movie?
I made it though. So
Did you finish the movie we did on
Ish.
the podcast?
for which one?
today.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, today? Yeah, absolutely.
He's watching it now.
Yeah,
Fuck you talking about?
I just finished it.
I have seen Ex Machina before, so I wasn't paying as close attention. But
Right when he gave his rating is when the credits rolled.
He was like,
So,
yeah,
Yeah, that's
actually wasn't too bad.
I was like, "Whoa! Did you see her stab the guy?"
yeah.
Talking about
What do you
cream
mean?
cheese body.
Yeah.
And Ben's like, you know what? It is cream cheese.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're
If I ever built a girl robot, she would have a cream cheese body. Let's get real here.
If you ever built a girl
All right, this
robot,
is a great
Daryl,
time
I
to
assume
end
that
the
you've already
podcast.
done it.
He did. It's named Lois, and it lived up.
Yeah.
That's true. All right,
Trying
we're
to
done.
convince you that he
Goodbye,
hasn't.
everybody.
Yeah.
I love you.